It's the Open Bedroom Doors Clip Show.
I'm Angela Skirtu, and I open bedroom doors. With the Open Bedroom Doors show, I want to help people of all ages develop a healthier relationship with sex and change the sexual landscape for future generations through comprehensive, medically accurate sex education. And I want to do it in a fun and playful way. That way, when you're learning, you don't even know you're learning. You're just having a good time. But there's more to the show than you think. Because sex is such a challenging topic for people, I have to create a show that makes people warm and comfortable with the topic of sex. So you'll notice in the Open Bedroom Doors show, I spend a lot of time creating humor and playful, campy humor, actually. And the reason is to lower people's guard and help them feel comfortable even approaching the topic of sex. And the more we make sex fun, enjoyable, and playful, the easier it is for you to eventually start talking to your partner about sex. So that's the ultimate goal of the Open Bedroom Doors show, is to change the way we approach sex so that we can actually do something about it and get the sex lives we want. Another topic around sex and aging that I thought was really relevant. You and I had this conversation the other day about how diabetes impacts.
Oh, yes,
sex.
the first world, what do they call it? First world diseases, the diabetes and the heart problems and all that stuff. Those are actually I run into that quite a bit.
Okay. Tell me about what you're seeing in the diabetes and sex world.
Well, diabetes is anyone who has it or anyone that's maybe pre-diabetic knows that it's a very cruel disease. Okay. All right. You can't see anything of a diabetic when you look in the, I couldn't tell if you were or not. However, that disease, it steals little pieces of you. Mm-hmm. A toe, two toes, a foot, a kidney, and your ability to have an erection.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it's not a visible idea, right? Mm-hmm. And again, back to our culture surrounding sex, if the man can't come at you with a raging piece of wood, mm-hmm. he's automatically invalid. That is not the case. So there's a lot. I wish there would be more people or regular lay folks that would just say, "Hey, I have ED." Mm-hmm. Or whatever, because wow,
you were looking at the statistics earlier,
I
right?
Was
it like 30%
at the NIH
of men?
The NIH, it was the National Institute of Health, was quoting that in the United States, men above 40, about 50% have erectile dysfunction of some type.
That's a pretty high number.
Which
would suggest it's common.
Well, yes, but
and yet we don't talk about it.
No, nobody's talking about this, right? And then when you reach age 70, because you're not done with sex when you're 70, so it was like 72% of men have erectile dysfunction. However, erectile dysfunction just means that the blood flow cannot get into the muscles of mm-hmm. the penis to make it erect for penetrating a woman to deliver the sperm to fertilize the egg, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of the thing, right?
And if you're stuck in the old sex model, then, I mean, what basically happens is if you have to do penetration to have sex, then you're essentially right? But not in a good way.
Yeah, right.
Like when you were talking earlier about, like, there's options. There's different ways for us to be intimate. Oh. I think that like opens up a wide option for people when they're going through diabetes, when they're going through aging. When you realize sex can be more than one way, then it takes a lot of pressure off.
What I can do with a flaccid penis in my mouth, girl, I make men friends everywhere doing that. I can give a flaccid penis the best blowjob it's ever had. And don't forget its two little cousins downstairs either, right?
Are you talking about the balls?
The testicles, I can get all that in my mouth.
Diane, I need to ask you some stuff. So does it stay flaccid the whole time, but you still get them orgasmic?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually when I have this situation presented in front of me that the orgasm, the dry orgasms.
Mm-hmm.
And so less mess, right?
Hold on, let me stop you for a moment because I always like to do teachable moments. So a dry orgasm is when a man orgasms, but instead of the semen coming out, it retrogrades and it goes back in. So he's still orgasming. It's just not the big volcanic
right,
orgasm.
right.
So continue.
Well,
so you
yeah.
still get them to orgasm, but they have a retrograde orgasm.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Sex doesn't have to be a dirty word. Sex can be wholesome. It can be healthy. But we've got to start treating it like that. Sex education is abuse prevention. When you teach people how to own and honor their bodies, you prevent people from unintentionally getting hurt sexually. I have clients in my office right now who are unlearning past sexual trauma that could have been prevented if they had received a healthy, comprehensive sex education at a younger age. When you teach kids about sex, they grow into adults that can set boundaries and make a conscious decision about how to enter into sexual relationships. So I can't change what happened in your childhood, but with the Open Bedroom Doors show, I can help you get the sex education you didn't get as kids. Even intimacy itself can be multi-layered, right? Like your cuddling can be the thing that you did. Like some people are just like so shocked that like, wait, like that's it. Like we're going to like just naked cuddle. I'm like, yeah, like that could be just the thing.
I love naked cuddling.
I love naked cuddles.
As a trained surrogate partner that doesn't really practice traditional surrogate partner therapy anymore, but in those years of doing that, so often with a client, surrogate partner therapy is a modality that works with talk therapists, usually sex therapists, to help single clients work through any kind of sexual dysfunction or whatever is blocking them from being able to date or find a partner. And so a lot of times what we heard from clients, if we did get to the point of sharing a sexual encounter, it was the cuddling afterwards that they were like, oh, this is what I really wanted. Right. And I know for myself, when I was first dating post-divorce, a lot of the sex that I had was unconsciously to get to that space. I just didn't have the words or understanding of what I wanted at the time.
Yeah. Well, and so like one of the things I'll ask my couples is about their aftercare. And not whether they're in BDSM or not, what are you doing after sex to create intimacy? And I'm surprised how many of them don't like they just have sex and then they're like, all right, we're off. We're doing this or we're sleeping separately. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're missing one of the most beautiful spaces.
Yeah. The oxytocin is so high right then.
Yes.
And you want to capture that and like let it like soak into your relationship for a little while. You know, it would be like, if I was making tea and I had my hot water and I put my tea bag in and I whipped it right back out. You know what I mean? Like you get a little bit of the tea. Yeah. But like, you've got to let it
simmer, let it steep.
Sit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
we don't need a sandwich right away. We could take a nap together.
Oh my gosh. You know what though, Michelle, you're making me realize like, all right, well, I'm going to talk about your ex like he's here, but he's not here if you don't mind for a moment.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I have this feeling that he thought that the only way to get to that was through sex. And I think that one of the things I'm trying to teach people is that like that can be the thing. Like you can have sex, but cuddling can be the intimate act and you can ask for it by itself. And I think that people are, go on. What were you going to say?
It reminds me that also what people are missing in relationship is non-demand touch.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking, I don't work with couples very often, but once in a blue moon I do. You have to meet a pretty high standard because I have too much of my own background that it's hard not to have a lot of countertransference happen. But I had this one couple and they were starting to hit that desire discrepancy phase. And what they ended up doing, I don't know how much I was involved in this or not. I can't remember, but I know I certainly inspired them. They work from home together. So on their lunch hour, they cuddle.
Yeah.
That's all they do. And then it increased their sex life later, right? So other times of the day, but having that time that was just set to connect and there was no demand there. It was simply just to have body contact. Maybe they had conversation, maybe they didn't. but their nervous systems got some time to sync up with each other.
I help couples who are best friends take their relationship from the friend zone to the sexy zone by normalizing conversations about sex. Every day, it's my job to talk to people about sex and help them have better relationships. But the hard part about my job is that a lot of these problems could have been prevented. I literally sit and solve the same problems over and over again, all day, every day. And many of them could have been prevented with adequate, comprehensive sex education and a better relationship with sex. But because you all don't know how to talk about sex, then you can't communicate and resolve conflict around sex. And sex is just like any other problem in the world. There's issues. You have to talk about it. You have to figure things out. The Open Bedroom Doors show is really meant to help you start solving those problems and learn to get comfortable talking about sex. You know, I just had a client this week, and it's an older client, and she went into some lingerie store and bought herself a push-up bra. And like she started wearing the push-up bra with like these like teddy shirts or, you know, like just like those loose shirts. But she and her husband talked about how she was becoming more sexually forward, and she was like putting herself out there. Like she grabbed him and she was like, "Come here, I'm going to give you a blowjob." And he was like, I don't know what's happening, but like, I'm totally into this. Let's continue. But like when I asked her what had happened, and she said it was the first time in her life she felt like she had an asset. Like she felt beautiful in her skin. And I think that speaks to how a lot of women engage in their sexuality. It's first about how we feel about ourselves. Like a partner can compliment you again and again and again, but if you're saying in here, "Oh, that's ugly, that's fat," it's like the compliment falls to the ground. But as soon as you start to love yourself and love and honor these parts of your body, the same compliment from the same partner is heard differently.
There has to be an acceptance. You know, most people, and I will generalize this, most people, when they hear a compliment, especially from their significant other, you're biased. I mean, if you want to keep having sex, you're going to say all the right things, you know, and it works the same way with advice. I can tell my wife the same thing that I tell all of these women. She ain't going to listen to me say shit. She'll listen to her say the exact same words and be all ears with popcorn and notes, you know. That's just part of being in a relationship. But when the bagger at the grocery store is calling you absolutely beautiful, it hits different when you've now seen it. Mm-hmm. You know, now all of a sudden you're glowing a little bit differently. See, these sessions aren't just about feeling confident for a moment. They're not about just feeling beautiful for that moment. They're to show you exactly who you are, truly who you are, and carry on. Because a happy and confident woman is going to be happier and more playful in your relationship. She's going to be more confident and more powerful in the workplace. She's going to be a better person, a better mother, a better wife, and better overall. And when you have a happy woman, you have a happy man.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys see then? So like, what are some of the transformations then you guys have seen in the aftermath? Like, do people reach out to you afterwards? And like, what are some of the things they're saying after this boudoir shoot that they've gotten out of the experience?
Most of them walk away pretty freaking confident. Mm-hmm. They learn to see themselves through somebody else's eyes, and they realize what you see in the mirror is not what you see. I personally have body dysmorphia, which is why I started modeling to begin with.
That's interesting. Tell me more about that.
So I couldn't truly see myself in a mirror the way everyone else saw me. Mm-hmm. But now I start getting these images back. And it's like, wait, that's me. So you learn to see yourself in a whole new light. Like Shane has been saying, you
awaken.
Yeah. that part of you awakens. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that these girls women we work with see the same thing. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of the same issues, whether they know it or not, and definitely become the woman they were always supposed to be.
That's too spicy. Well, guys, on the Open Bedroom Doors show, we often have content that's a little too spicy for your typical social media platforms. So For those of you who are like, I love everything Angela Skirtu and I want to know all the spicy details, we actually have a space where we put the uncut shows, and it is at patreon.com/openbedroomdoors. So you can subscribe to that channel and get all the behind the scenes, all that spicy stuff that I wasn't able to put in the show. That's too spicy. So I hope you can join me at patreon.com/openbedroomdoors. Keep in mind, that is how you support me. So it is a subscription channel where you have to pay to subscribe, but you are becoming a supporter of me and putting out this awesome content as a result. So please join me for those spicy, spicy things. Want to be a sponsor for the show? So we have all kinds of sponsorship opportunities, from endorsements to sponsoring an entire episode to sponsoring a section of episodes. And if you would like to become a sponsor, please go to openbedroomdoors.com and look for the sponsorship page to become a part of this show. We would love to have you. So if you want to be a sponsor, we have so many opportunities. This is how you support the show and you become a part of something cool. Because the show is all about creating sex education for free to educate the masses. So please visit me at openbedroomdoors.com and become a sponsor. I've been watching you.
I've had that before. And it was creepy. It was very creepy. He followed me throughout Target and I didn't realize that. And then when I was loading the groceries into my car, there he was standing there at my car and was like, hi, and I was like, dude, so I drove around, cause I didn't know if he was following me. Right. I drove around for a while, but yeah, just be friendly. And here's the thing, guys. And I tell men that there's nothing wrong with being in the friend zone. Cause a lot of men they think that's a terrible word. She friend zoned me. No, the only way to get at me is to be in my friend zone. Right. I have to get to know you.
Say so. I think you need to get in the friend zone first, and from the friend zone, you can move into the sexy zone. But really, women, we need to feel safe first. That's the reality. We need to feel like, okay, this is a safe space. So yeah, if you followed us, that is terrifying. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh my God, I would be calling somebody on my way out of that parking lot. Right. And so just be friendly, just talk. And, if it's in a gym where you see somebody on the regular, you might not you might think of it I'll just talk a little bit, but then I'm going to move on, right? Oh, hey, good to see you again. I remember you, but then just move on. And then you're getting into that friendly, it's like warming, you're warming the pot with each other, right?
Well, one thing I've noticed is men, they're not, because women are excellent communicators, right? Men, they do struggle more with the small talk. Right. So that is a struggle. They're, cause women, we're excellent communicators. And it's what we do. We talk to our girlfriends. We're used to talking, right? Men, I have found that, when it comes to my clients, they struggle with the small talk. They don't know what to say next. Because we've created this environment to where, the first thing you say wrong, you're out. So it's like kind of pins and needles, the whole dating culture has created that. So, and that it hasn't made it easier. Like I said, with the Me Too movement, there is a legit struggle there with a lot of men.
Oh man. So what's one final piece of advice you would give listeners who are dating, that they can take away from you, V?
Well, let's say dating or interested in dating, they're okay. Well, let's say if you're interested in dating, you're just now getting out there. Just don't have the mindset that I have to find somebody, because that you're putting, I'm huge into the mindset and manifesting and everything. That's putting you into a chasing energy. And if you have ever been chased by a dog, you're going to run towards a dog and be like, come here, give me a kiss, you big old pit bull. And I got a pit bull down here. If he start barking, I'm going to have to go on mute. But if you're being chased by a dog, you're going to turn around and lick it in the mouth. No, you're not. You're not. You're going to keep running. So when you're going out here and trying to meet people, y'all, the focus has to be, I'm just going to get out here and enjoy life. Right. And that's meeting people in person. Start going out without your daggone girlfriends, without your guy friends. You're more approachable. A man is going to have a hard time approaching you if you're with 15 deep girls. Right. It's difficult.
Very hard to approach a 15 group of girls. You're not. They're a wall of women.
Yeah, so go, ladies, go start going places by yourself. I'm not saying go down dark alleys, but go out by yourself. Go sit at the bar at the Ritz. Bring your laptop, have a drink, whatever you got to do. But you got to start getting out here by yourself. Men too. Like you're by far more approachable that way.
So V, how do they find you?
You can find me. Well, you go to my website. It's vmindful.com. But also most of my content, I focus on YouTube. So it's still V Mindful. That's VEE Mindful, on YouTube. And I do post a video at least once a week. So they can find me there as well.
Thank you so much for being on the show, V.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
The origin story for the Open Bedroom Doors show is that one day I was teaching my daughter, who's 10, about her body. I was teaching her about different ways that people experience nudity, that you can sometimes be playfully nude, recreationally nude, sometimes you're nude to take a shower, and sometimes you're nude because you are being sexy. And really, I was just teaching her a little bit about sex. That's my job, right? And I found myself that same week talking to a 40-year-old woman about the same topic. And that's why I'm creating this show, is that I'm teaching the same lessons to 40-year-old people that I'm teaching my 10-year-old daughter. And a lot of these sexual problems could have been prevented. A lot of them. We're causing so much harm in this country and in our society by treating sex like it's this evil, taboo thing. What I want us to learn is that sex is a normal and natural part of life. Thinking back to your story, how did you finally get to the point where you were able to be comfortable talking about sex and put yourself out there as a sexual person? What were some of the things you had to overcome from your childhood to be who you are today?
That is a really good question. And it did take years of being able to separate some of the core learnings that I'd had about sex. For me, when I was doing educational parties for women, it took me 3 years before I could say the word blowjob in front of anyone else.
Would you say it like this? Blowjob, blowjob.
Oral favor.
Oral favor?
It was an oral favor.
Oh, I love I'll give you an oral favor.
Bring it, baby.
Would you like an oral favor? I mean, I'm making it sexy, so I think it's still hot.
I mean, I think you could probably make about anything sexy. It was hard because
spicy.
And it's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not playful. It's not inviting. And so that was really hard. And then the culture and the blame and the shame was really hard. For me, it was a friend told me that she had a cousin who did these parties and taught women how to masturbate. And I was like, really? And I learned about it.
Were they all out in a room, learning?
Good question.
I'm really curious.
No, everybody's clothes stayed on. But talking about how the extra stimulation on the labia, on the clitoris, on the inner thighs, or different places that a woman can touch herself to enhance the sensual experiences and to stimulate the nerve endings and to bring our body to that climax of pleasure without requiring anybody else. Oh. We own that ourselves. Was never taught. I was never taught or even told that I have the power to do that.
So Nancy, I have one final question for you, and it's for audience members who, there may be audience members who are in a very restrictive religious or conservative environment. They may be struggling with some of this purity culture that both of us, sounds like, dealt with. What advice would you give somebody who's in that position, who's listening in kind of privately because they're not allowed to? What would you give for somebody who's trying to find themselves here?
If you're trying to find yourself, start with sleeping naked. Just being able to be comfortable. But for us also as Mormons, we had special underwear that covered our shoulders, went down to our knees. And so we weren't comfortable with our bodies either. And or familiar with our bodies. It was always hidden in shame and in like modesty. And so I think one of the biggest things is just becoming comfortable with our own selves physically. My clients are on Facebook and they're scrolling through their feed and something sexy comes up and they're laughing. Then they're thinking sexy. Well, when you're thinking sexy, you're going to be feeling sexier. And if you're feeling sexy, you're going to be having more sex. Sex creates endorphins. Endorphins make you happy, and happy people don't just kill their husbands.
I love it. Happy people don't kill their husbands. That's true.
Get other people's opinions and interactions and go from there. Kind of get you started.
I love it. I love it. And I want to add, you can just be a fly on the wall too. You don't have to interact the first time you go. You can just be an observer, get used to the experience. You can talk the second time or the third time.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring a friend.
Bring a friend. I love it. Bring a
more
friend
the
to
merrier.
your BDSM community. With the Open Bedroom Doors show, it's not just a show. I'm starting a movement. I want to start a sexual revolution, and I need you to join me. We all need to change the way we approach sex, because it's not healthy and it's not helping. It's hurting us all. And it doesn't have to be this way. Thank you for watching the show. We're going to change the sexual landscape, one bedroom at a time. Join us at Open Bedroom Doors Show. Good night and have a sexy tomorrow.